Today on the Topping Show, a pastor goes viral for having pronouns as well as dressing in drag and having copious amounts of makeup during a sermon. 2 wins for Texas and small businesses against the federal government and regulation. Tim Walz reflects on his epic loss from the recent presidential election. Google is expanding their AI driving company Waymo to Miami, which caused shares of Lyft and Uber to crash. And Anker is recalling some of their Bluetooth speakers. All of that and much, much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder released twice a day. Guys, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more. Lastly, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by Christmas, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part podcast, we have Google expanding their Waymo services to Miami. And spoiler alert, the car also looks disgusting, so I would not recommend going in it for fashion reasons as well. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Investopedia, which, again, not financial advice. Specifically, it is credited to a writer over there by the name of Terry Lane. They say, quote, Uber and Lyft stocks plunge as Google Waymo brings driverless taxis to Miami, which, apologies, I should have put a visual disclaimer, because on the screen right now is the Jaguar EV SUV, and it looks, of course, viscerally disgusting. I can only shudder as people try to get into those vehicles without looking dorky. I'm only partially kidding. Lord knows, EV with only 2 pedals, or in some cases no pedals at all. Yeah, never going to be in my garage. But that's just me. Now they say, quote, Google is bringing its Waymo self-driving taxis to Miami. News that sent shares of Uber Technologies and Lyft sharply lower as investors weigh the risk of their services. Yep, not just their services, but also you're combating unlimited money. That's the thing. Now, Google has a terrible track record, pun intended, with an EV that might crash, but they have a terrible track record of having pet projects and then abandoning them. I mean, one of the biggest ones that most consumers might remember is Google Fiber, where they thought they wanted to get into the ISP or internet service provider business, and then they shortly abandoned it. I mean, they also have the Google Stadia, or the Stadia, which is a video game console, which, again, they bought, tinkered around for a little bit, then promptly abandoned. And more often than not, a lot of customers are left in limbo. That being said, they have unlimited money, so if they want something to succeed, it will. The best example, maybe with the email, with the mass adaptation of Gmail. I mean, all of a sudden, darn near everyone, it was very exclusive, then it rolled out a little bit, and for a lot of companies, a lot of people, became the default email address, an email domain that they used. So, yeah, it's one of those things where if Google wants it, they can put enough money into it, and they can make it work. Now, they had said that Waymo has previously tested vehicles in Miami, a city that, quote, provided challenging rating conditions for its driverless vehicles. They're now going all in. The subsidiary of Google parent company Alphabet, Waymo has brought its self-driving services to Phoenix, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Austin to date. The company also said it's training its all-electric Jaguar I-Pace on Miami streets early 2025 and plans to offer the service riders 2026. One of those somewhat ironic, or perhaps an appropriate name, is called the Jaguar I-Pace. Because when I first see that vehicle, I do pace away from that vehicle in the opposite direction because it's so visually disgusting, as well performance probably as well. The company also announced its partnership with African fintech provider Move. Now that does get A+ for marketing. The company's called Move, M-O-O-V-E, which obviously is about moving, to oversee expansions in Miami. Move will also take over Waymo's fleet management operations in Phoenix. Now this is the rough part. Again, not financial advice. Well, in hindsight 2020, maybe a good thing you didn't invest in Uber and Lyft. Both of them, their stock crashed about 10% at the news of this being broken. Because again, if Google wants to, they could just flood the market with most of these things until the competition goes out of business, just have a loss leader for a while, and then later jack up prices. Not too dissimilar to how Amazon performed way back in the day. I mean, for years upon years, Amazon.com never made a profit. But they slowly but surely got rid of the competition, and now they're the most successful, profitable businesses, not just now, but in business history. So that's the downside. That's something you always have to be wary of. Again, not financial advice, but when you have some companies like Google or Microsoft, and they basically have nearly unlimited funds, they want to go compete in your industry, you're going to be hard pressed to compete against them. And again, a lot of these companies, they're all investing in these driverless technologies to have the robots drive us everywhere. And we'll see what the cultural acceptance is and the adoption rate is in the United States as more people become more comfortable about those technologies. But yeah, not good news for the competition when Google's going to be rolling these out. And it'll be interesting to see. Let me know, what are your thoughts on going to a driverless vehicle? Is that something you would like that? You like that? So maybe get some work done, go to a meeting or something. Maybe you wouldn't trust the machines or the hackers that can break into it. They can crash or maybe go into a wall. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts are, because as always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Prod podcast, you have a pastor, quote unquote, is a drag queen wearing makeup and pronouns during a sermon, which, as youth might say, that is no, the antithesis. It is the opposite of based. It is woke. And another reason why I think many people aren't going to churches these days, because churches, well, many of them, not too dissimilar from museums, are catering to the lowest common denominator and not actually sticking to the roots or their specialties, the morals and values. Now, this comes to us thanks to Libs at TikTok, which she said, quote, "You walk into a church and see this person as a quote-unquote pastor, what do?" And yes, I probably should put a visual disclaimer because this person looks horrifying, which no surprise there. So he's wearing the sash is rainbow colored, which, yeah, no Christian or Catholic priest would do that. And he has about 18 or 19 pounds of makeup splattered upon his face. For some reason, he wants his eyelids to look purple or something like that. Which, at the end of the day, the real winners of all this weird cultural phenomenon in the United States is the makeup companies. They're making a killing. They're doubling the amount of prospective clients, which all these guys getting putting on, what was it, like have a palette of makeup on his face. I partially digress. It is, as you might say, cringe, but it's only about 34 seconds long, so we'll get through it together. Which, apologies, it's going to go full screen. Oh, yeah, that's creepy. But let's hear what he has to say. Not coming now.
Morning, y'all.
Red flag number 1. How dare you say y'all? He is the antithesis of a cowboy. He's the opposite. He can spend one day on a ranch. I bet he doesn't even own a cowboy hat. Yet alone even know how to properly handle a firearm or anything. I doubt he's ever gotten any dirt under his fingernails. Let's just say that much.
My name is Russian Kimball. My pronouns are he, him, his. I have the pastor of serving.
Oh my gosh, it's the Joker! I mean, so he has about maybe 10 pounds of makeup on his eyelids, so I was wrong. They're not purple, it looks like they're blue. About 5 pounds of white makeup on his face. I'm not sure if that's culturally sensitive. Is white face okay? He's a white guy, but still, it's not porcelain white. And then he puts about maybe 3 pounds of, is that pink makeup? It almost looks like he has a pink beard. And of course, red flag, what is it, number 58 now? He has a red lipstick on, which, yeah, men don't wear lipstick. I'm surprised I need to clarify this, but it is 2024, almost 2025. And yeah, let's just say masculinity has fallen far from the good old days of Humphrey Bogart and John Wayne. And there's still more to this video. So we'll get through it.
I have the privilege of serving as the pastor of Broadway United Methodist Church in downtown Orlando. And also my drag name is still a work in progress. So if you have any ideas, just please let me know.
I have an idea. Resign now. You're a drag queen and you're... Yeah.
One floating around, but I'm not going to share that one.
I want to say, that's the most infeminate. You look at his hands movements. When you have Trump, you have very masculine hand movements. But this guy's, what is it, limp wristing it? I just know if you try to shake his hand, it's going to be a noodle. It's going to be nothing. It's not going to be a firm handshake, a firm grasp that you could trust. No, it's going to be a limp wristed, basically a jelly handshake. Ridiculous.
I'm not going to share that one with you, but I'm still taking other suggestions.
Yeah, people wonder why the past couple years church attendance is going down. Well, yeah, let's just say that's not in the Bible in any good ways. That got 1.1 million views and 7.5 thousand likes. Now, going to the top comments, one of the first ones comes from Thick Egg Shell saying, quote, "Did the outside of the church have this on it?" And especially the Netflix building, and it got 56 likes. Libercat Media TM hit the nail on the head saying, quote, "That's not a pastor, that's an activist," getting 1.6 thousand likes. AKA somebody says abort getting 344 likes. Cool Christian Engineer says that's not a church anymore, getting 224 likes. It's going up like a stock. Chuck Costello says, hell no, getting 190 likes. I Love American News says walk out. Then they have a acronym for woke saying willingly overlooking known evil, getting 1.3 thousand likes. That's a big one. Amy Sue says, a contrarian statement perhaps. She says, quote, sort of a different take on this. These people are such a distraction from what going to church should be about. Instead of leading the flock to focus on Christ, they're making themselves the focus of attention. And 390 likes, which most leftists are notorious narcissists. I'm not too surprised. But yeah, that's a good point. It's supposed to be about, the Bible and Jesus. And yet this pastor is making it all about himself. Good point. Also, Trad says, quote, so creepy. There's a girl and a daughter in a comic strip. And it says, Mommy, is that a man or a woman? And it's a man wearing a dress with the, lipstick on, neon colored, short hair, and then earring. And the mom goes, it's a Democrat, honey, getting 771 likes. Make it 772. 773 likes. Because, you don't see any Republicans dressing up like that. Maybe one or two of my weird buddies from the Libertarian Party. Maybe. But, yeah, you don't see a lot of people right doing that. Let's see. I'm not seeing too many contrarian statements here. Diane Marie says they need to read from the Bible on what God did to Sodom and Gomorrah, gave 139 likes. Stu Breeze says, quote, for false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. So be on your guard. I have told you everything ahead of time, unquote, as Mark 13:22/23 NIV gained 402 likes. Someone simply did a gif of a kid running away saying nope, gained 28 likes. Four Bells says, run away! And it's a scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Perhaps one of the best works of art in the past 100 years in terms of cinema. And I think it's right as the rabbit attacks someone and kills someone. I was going to say spoiler alert, but it's been out for decades upon decades. And they all say, run away! And it got 19 likes. Let's see. A lot of people are, let's see here. Also, Trad says, have you seen this? Is that you, Satan? It's a parody of CNN with Satan being interviewed. It says, Satan, I've decided to let TikTok carry on my work. Gained 106 likes. Yeah, that's seeing too many contrarian statements. And again, thankfully I live in Texas, so there's a myriad of churches you can go to. There's a lot of them around here. Now, what I noticed in terms of, why have church attendance been going down the past couple of decades? Well, they're not actually sticking to their guns, so to say. They keep trying to attract the most possible populace and adopting leftist values, which alienate the actual, people who believe in the Bible and the actual people who were your original flock. And yet they alienate those more often than not to try to go for mass appeal, but it isn't even mass appeal. Now, one of the last posts kind of comes from RTD, say, quote, I'll say finish they, them, and it's when Mortal Kombat, the video game company, changed their logo to have the trans pride progress flag. It's hard to keep track because there's like 58 million flags by now, which the real winner is also the makeup companies and the flag companies. You can't go 18 minutes without a new flag debuting. But I partially digress. But they have the Mortal Kombat logo with, again, the flag behind it. And the first most likely response is finish they, them, getting 3.1 thousand likes. Now that almost got 2 likes on this one. But let me know, have you seen a change in your local church the past couple of years? And do you think on a mass scale, do you think this is going to be attracting more people to get involved? Let me know, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have some great news. 2 more wins for Texas and small businesses against the feds. Now, this is coming to us thanks to literally Texas.com? Oh, I wish. No, thecentersquare.com. Title is Texas. That'd be too cool. Now, specifically, Bethany Blanky, who's a writer over there, says, quote, 2 more Texas wins in court, sweeping small business regulations and parental rights cases. Which, again, if you're a small business owner, yeah, some good news. I'll tell you that much. Pull down here. Oh, apologies for that. Now, going to the article, they say, quote, the state of Texas has won 2 more wins in court in a sweeping small business federal regulatory action that a federal judge ruled is unconstitutional and a federal agency rule related to parental rights and children's medical care. In the first, the federal district court issued a nationwide injunction to block reporting requirements mandated by Congress in the Corporate Transparency Act, he says is, quote, likely unconstitutional. Congress passed a law in 2021, later overriding a veto by former President Donald Trump. Yes, this is great news. You know why? It's going to save small businesses money and a pain, and it's, like most things in government, would just hurt people. And I say that because my small business would have been affected by this. The fine, if you didn't do this paperwork just right, is $500 per day. And I think it caps at $10,000. So if you're a small business owner and you can't afford the fee that your accounting firm wants to charge you or your CPA, you're going to do it yourself. So you're going to go online to the government website, which is rudimentary to say the least. And if you make one small mistake, $500 per day. For a small business, that's detrimental. They'll put you out of business. And all this thing was, going to add a couple more names so you can see the founders of companies, which also for privacy concerns maybe is not appropriate if you're more of a bombastic, like if you're like a political brand or something, maybe you don't want people knowing that's you. There's already so much micromanagement and regulation, they already know enough about the accounts and businesses to make them relatively clean. And again, it would not put me out of business, but my CPA, who I have a great CPA, I mean, she does great work. Now the issue was they're going to charge my company or myself $500 per company to do this, and I got a couple. Which again, I know for a multi-million-dollar corporation, and for some people, $500 is nothing. To me, that's a quarter rent. To me, that's a lot. That's like a month's groceries, more than a month's groceries. That's ridiculous. And I understand the benefit of having her do it, because at the end, they're a CPA, they do this for a living, they would do it perfectly. Again, that's so much money to small businesses, especially for the fines that they'd have. Again, I am so thankful that they got an injunction against this. And this is one of the best examples of showing just, more regulation hurts small businesses. Because either they have to take a risk and do it themselves, or have to hire someone else or pay someone else to do it for them, who, again, that's their career, that's where their core competency is accounting and compliance. And Kevin O'Leary, says it best when he goes on all these shows, and he talks about how much deregulation will help small businesses and consumers, because it brings down the cost of goods for the consumers too. So again, that part when I saw this article, I was smiling ear to ear, because again, it made my day. It saved my company my companies, because I have a couple. We got the media company and my tech company. And again, Topic Technologies, free Flamethrower with every IT purchase. A little biased, but I think they're awesome because they're me. But again, that's $1,000 to half a month rent, just on regulation. Which again, they already know everything about it. So to me, I was elated. It was almost like winning, not like winning the lottery, but it was like, I don't know, depending on your belief system, a little blessing, but it was a nice thing to happen towards, getting close to the holidays when, costs usually go up with all, you're getting gifts and stuff for people. But that was great news. Now, they continue saying, quote, after Trump's veto was overridden, Texas Top Shop LLC sued U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, that piece of shit. They didn't say that article. I did. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed an amicus brief in support of Texas businesses, which is great. That law required entities incorporated under state law to disclose personal information of their stakeholders, including addresses, ID documents. I don't think so. Especially, again, my show is not very controversial in terms of a lot of my beliefs are mostly libertarian. Obviously, I'm a little more right-leaning on some topics. But yeah, if you're like a major political commentator that's maybe more far right or far left. Oh, I was about to say far left, but they're not the ones getting attacked, are they? Well, if you're far right, they know your address, that gets leaked, that's it's publicly available. That's not good. Now, again, they said the penalties are $500 so the penalties were $500 per day and up to 2 years in prison. Screw, again, the umpteenth time, screw the Fed. Put people in jail for that? I'm so flabbergasted I can barely speak. Not saying much because I can barely speak in general, but nevertheless, $500 per day and up to 2 years in prison. Non-compliance. And again, some people just make honest mistakes too, and yet they still fall into non-compliance. Ridiculous. So this is why I hate big government. I have a disdain for overregulation because it hurts small businesses the most. Large companies, $500 is a rounding error. Amazon spends more money on toilet paper for employees than this would ever possibly cost them. Now, again, this says, who does this affect? Single-member LLCs, multi-member LLCs, S corporations, and C corporations. Yep. And they say, when do you have to file? Again, I should say it's not legal advice. And again, this could change the fluid situation. Say it could have been up to, new businesses in 2024 within 9 days of formation. new business within 30 days, existing businesses by December 31st. Thankfully, this injunction is currently in. Again, not financial advice by time, or tax any advice really in terms of legality. Because again, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, maybe the situation has changed. Now, they also say, Paxton office notes that penalties for noncompliance could result in fines up to, wow, $500,000 up to 10 years in jail. Now, he says, quote, however, the Constitution does not give Congress the power to unilaterally regulate approximately 32.6 million organizations that have been granted formal corporate status by Texas. Which, again, Ken Paxton has his flaws, but I appreciate when he stands up for small businesses. I appreciate any politician who stands up for small businesses. Obviously, I'm biased, I own a couple, but yeah. Now, he said, quote, the so-called Corporate Transparency Act was an unconstitutional attempt by the federal government to undermine states' authority and crush small businesses under regulations, fines, and threats. Yeah, 110% true. Now, Judge Amos Mazat agreed, citing arguments made in several cases. He said, quote, great nations, like great men, should keep their word. Ours are written in the Constitution. That promises it makes to the people and the states alike are not hidden. The court must enforce them. The powers of the legislator are defined and limited, and those limits may not be mistaken or forgotten. The Constitution is written, while the court defers to Congress to matters of policy. Interpretation of the Constitution is an area where the Constitution or Congress enjoys no authority. The CTA was, quote, unprecedented, Mazat said, making a, quote, drastic twofold departure from history. First, it represents a federal attempt to monitor companies created under a state law, a matter our federal system has left almost exclusively to several states. Second, the CTA ends the feature of corporate formation as designed by various states and anonymity. Now, that being said, you still have an EIN number. So, like, when businesses file federal taxes, you still have a federal tax ID. Like the feds don't know about the companies. He said, quote, this is, from Ken Paxton. The ruling, quote, is a major victory for American entrepreneurs that the nation injunction will prevent this law from taking effect. Texas won yet another court battle last week against the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services after, and this is the other part of the article, after it announced it won't enforce a ruling requiring entities receiving Title X funding to dispense contraceptives to minors without parental consent. Which, Jesus. I know it's a controversial topic for some people in terms of that stuff, but it is kind of creepy. Places like Planned Parenthood want to give out those things when they're younger and younger and younger. Now, Paxton sued in July, arguing that the rule violates Texas law. Both the district court he filed suit in and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals previously ruled that the Title X program must comply with Texas laws that require parental consent before dispensing prescription contraceptives to minors, and that the, quote, Biden administration cannot use the Title X statute to present those parental consent laws. The rule prohibited Title X projects from notifying parents or guardians that the minor under the care was receiving prescription contraceptives or his family planning services, or they call it that. If they didn't comply, they could risk losing federal funding. Texas law requires that parents must consent to their child's medical care because, it's a child. So, two great wins. I guess you could argue that's a little bit cultural and political in terms of the second one. But, yeah. And thankfully, there's a couple folks in the government who stand up for small businesses. It's a rare thing. I wish everyone they should, but I wish everyone would do it. But yeah, it's pretty rare. Some great political news lately. I mean, truth be told, we've been long overdue. There's been a couple good things in the past couple years. But let me know in the comments. Do you think the feds will try to override the great state, or some might argue the great country of Texas? What your thoughts are? As always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Tim Walz reflecting on his loss. Now, this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness on the good old X, or some people, 5 people probably still call it Twitter, or if you're British, Twitter. He says, quote, Tim Walz on his loss. Americans want less inclusive, more negative vision. Which, coming from the guy who says this whole party is all about saying the country is evil and racist and has to be changed from the roots ground up. No. Also fascinating in terms of politics. If you see an American flag, you kind of know who they voted for lately. And this is mostly mentally vacuous, this Tim Walz. But nevertheless, let's hear. He did one thing right. He did suit up. He did one thing right in his career. Very short list. He also has a Somalian flag on his lapel pin. I'm only kidding a little bit. The Minnesota has been conquered since their once beautiful flag, which is an ornate work of art, was recently redesigned by a kindergartner with a crayon. I'm only partially exaggerating, but it's pretty simplistic in terms of having like 3 different colors and shapes, and looks pretty much like the country's Somalian flag, which makes sense since they imported half their population to Minneapolis. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but yeah, there's a big importation of that.
I think we're going to have to understand what type of leadership do they want. We were pledging to be inclusive. We were pledging to bring people in. Donald Trump has said that that isn't what he wants. And so if that's what America's leaning towards, I guess for me, it's to understand and learn more about America, because I thought that they were going to probably move towards a more positive message.
Who's more inclusive? Let's see. Biden and Kamala, or Kamala and Tim Walz. Who's on their side? The Cheneys, Obamas, and every douchebag pop celebrity. Who's on Trump's side? Yeah, a lot of former Democrats, a lot of libertarians. You got Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. There's a lot of folks who went over. I mean, Elon Musk, 10 years ago, was a Democrat. I mean, the Republican Party is a party of unity. I mean, he's from the party of divisiveness and discrimination. And yet he says, oh yeah, the country wants hate. Tim Walz. Tampon Tim. Which, again, there's no reason to put those in boys' bathrooms, but that's his mentality, because creep. Now, it's got, not as far as I thought it would go, got about 600,000 views and 4.7 thousand likes. Now, one of the first comments, it didn't get the most comments, but it was the first one listed. Millennial Bias. He's a handsome and brilliant gentleman. He's me. The Topping Show on X, which I say, quote, LMFAO, no one likes Tampon Tim, getting 1 like. Well, biased, but I think that was the best like of all. AKA says, quote, Tim Walz is having a hard time coping, getting 651 likes. Riley Gaines says, did he learn nothing from November 5th? No, Democrats, no, they didn't. Yeah, I think they're just going to lean into the insanity, personally. And it's not politically prudent. They're not going to win unless they import a lot of illegal votes. They've done that from time to time, but again, I don't think they're going to. A lot of people are debating what's going to be a new strategy for Democrats going into next couple of years. I mean, if they go away from the wokeness, they lose, 20-30% of their brand, their whole base. All the radicals will leave them. They can't it's almost like that movie, Lord of the Rings. They could not resist the power of wokeness. They tried to harness it, and it ended up destroying themselves. You also have Colin Rugg say, quote, I guess I was wrong about America. They're all hateful and exclusive. Is a wild takeaway from the election. Gained 538 likes. Yep. Again, look at, if you want to get into races and different and stuff like that. I mean, minorities voted for Trump in record numbers. Also have Paul Zupa say, quote, Tim Walz has only gotten more delusional, getting 174 likes. That's saying something. Cash Loren says, quote, Trump is right. We don't want our country illegally invaded, getting 25 likes. Democrat Media TM says, quote, they still haven't learned nor understand why they lost. Keep this up, Dems. You're just making 2028 much easier to win, getting 107 likes. Planet of Memes, been off a couple of weeks. There's no meme there. Alleged Planet of Memes says, quote, he couldn't be more wrong, getting 134 likes. I mean, I guess in his defense, it worked in Minnesota. Again, Minnesota has become a leftist stronghold like Chicago or Illinois and California. His thought pattern does exist, but again, it's not the main population of America. Which again, first time in 20 years, a Republican won a popular vote. That in itself is a huge accomplishment by Donald J. Trump. Again, you won the Electoral College and the popular. I mean, that is insanely. I mean, that should be a big signal to Democrats that they need to change their ideology or grow up. But I don't suspect they will. DK says, quote, how does someone like Tim Walz even get elected to begin with? Getting 383 likes. Which, again, on a local level in Minnesota, they like that. Minnesota's people don't realize how much of a leftist stronghold it is. I mean, they allow abortion all the way up to day of birth in Minnesota. It's what the people, and again, it's a states' rights issue. That's what the people there voted for. I don't agree with it, but that's how they're running their state. House of Trans says, quote, this is what we do not want. And especially Kamala Harris says, the Kamala Harris record, open borders, weak military, runaway national debt, mass inflation, terrible economy, unaffordable housing, global conflict, and cultural warfare. In 23 likes. Pretty effective infographic. Bella Cowgirl says, so glad he lost. Did you get a single like? Her hashtag is Bella_Cowgirl Texas. She's got Texas in her name. I'll give her at least 1 like. There you go. Let's see. Never for Life says they still don't get it. It's a picture of Hillary Clinton looking demotic. Well, I guess that's just an average picture of her. Though I should say for the record, Hillary Clinton, very beautiful, intelligent woman, not at all corrupt, not at all has a disproportion of people around her who committed suicide, around 28 people. totally, I mean, she is wise and brilliant beyond any measure, of course. But coincidentally, I would like to say I don't own any rope, and I plan to live a long, healthy, fruitful life. Just coincidentally, want to put out there for the record. We also have Kamala Harris calling Americans Nazis, and Joe Biden calling us garbage. Got 90 likes. 91 now. Pastor Ben says Tim Walz is accurate yet again. Really? He's a Christian. He describes himself as a Christian nationalism is the system level manifestation of the Antichrist. What the heck? So he's a leftist. He's got 159,000 followers. He's got more than me. I guess someone could argue he's doing something right. Though I find his comment mentally vacuous, there is a contrarian statement supporting Tim Walz. They got 12 likes. That was as many votes as he earned. I also have AJ saying, no, Tim, we vetoed your authoritarianism. Hope this was helpful? You misspelled hope. Nevertheless, we got the point. I got 27 likes. Yeah, never forget Tim Walz during the pandemic lockdowns. He had curfews. If you're standing on your porch after hours, police in Minnesota shot you with paintball guns. That's Tim Walz. He also allowed his city to burn during the George Floyd Summer Love riots, where $2 billion of property damage occurred and dozens of people died. Let's see. House of Trad says, the more inclusive crew. It says Dems, nobody's above the law starter pack. And it's Hunter Biden with the laptop, Hillary Clinton with the emails, Epstein's girlfriend with the clients. Her name. Then, what was that? Fauci with the research. Getting 44 likes. I am the science. Yeah, I never forget that from Fauci. Orville says Tim's looking rough these days. It's just Tim Walz looking rough. Yeah, I got about 8 likes for that. So, yeah, let me know the comments. Do you think they'll actually change their political strategy? I mean, again, in terms of Tim Walz, it seems like every Democrat president just kept picking a more inept vice president to make themselves look better. And that's what happens. You pick someone more inept every single time. That's how you get Tim Walz. And Obama, he chose Joe Biden. Joe Biden chose Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris chose Tim Walz. Like every single time it shows, they thought, how could I choose someone more inept than me so I can look better in comparison? Which, as horrifying as I mean, Kamala Harris only looks good in comparison to Tim Walz, I think. Which is saying something. That's how low the bar has gotten on their side of the political aisle. But let me know in the comments. Do you think the Democrats will switch their tactics going into the next couple of years? Do you think they'll go down the same road? I mean, they keep picking more and more unqualified individuals. I mean, truth be told, I don't know if there's anyone less qualified than the recent batch they had. That's saying something. But let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Anker Bluetooth speakers being recalled. Which, not good. Spoiler alert, they might burst into flames. Now, this comes to us thanks to the good old, well, not really good old, but because of the United States Consumer Safety Product Commission, which is so weird. The government actually seems to be doing something right. I do some fact checking. They actually have done something of value today. That is a rare thing. I have to save this video. Now, they say, quote, Anker Soundcore lithium-ion battery powered. Jeez Louise, talk about an awkward product name. Yeah, I mean, so it's got the Anker Soundcore lithium-ion battery powered Bluetooth speakers recalled due to fire hazards, which not great because it's in terms of where do people find us on the biggest e-commerce platform ever, Amazon. So they're sold exclusively on Amazon.com by the company themselves, Anker, which at least the speaker looks kind of cool. It looks like a good wireless speaker. So they got one part right. But yeah, the safety, not so much. Now, they noted that, oh wow, this is an inspiring product name. The Anker Soundcore is called the A3102. Oddly reminiscent, what a name to reminisce in terms of quality product. The A3102, as well as the Bluetooth Conference Bluetooth, the A3302 speakers. So again, if you want to flip those things upside down, well, I'll show them on the screen here as well, but the A3102 and the A3302. And here's a picture of the conference one. It looks like almost like a bastardized hockey puck, a little more square. Well, it's a square with the edges rounded off. It looks like you got some almost like a cloth fabric on top, a little touch pad there. And yep, looks like, wow, both recalled? Jeez Louise. Yep, the lithium-ion speakers were recalled a couple days ago. Remedy is replaced. Ouch. Looks like they have to recall about 69,000 units. In addition, with about 9,764 sold in Canada. So not great. And again, this is one of those outliers where, I mean, I've gotten Anker gear throughout the years, and it's usually pretty solid. They get, I mean, I'm an ambassador or anything like that, but like I've gotten the charging cables from them, never had an issue. Which, again, as silly as it sounds, sometimes companies mess those up, make them so that they're cheap and they break at the ends or get tangled too easily. They make some good cloth chargers. I've gotten a really nice wall-mounted USB, wall-mount to USB charging adapter as well. I mean, and I think what other Anker products do I have? I got a wireless, like a phone battery charger. And again, Anker has always been a cut above the rest in terms of quality and fit and finish, especially for electronics. So to have one of your first recalls, and again, it's one of the most popular things that you sell. I gotta say, Anker to not have quality control, to realize, yeah, it could be a fire hazard. Gotta say, Anker, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by Christmas, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.